Suzuki Celerio Review. For a small car made by a bit-part player in the global car market, the Suzuki Celerio received a disproportionately large amount of coverage in Autocar, and that's not counting the full review you're about to read. The Celerio might have justified much of that coverage all on its own and in the usual ways, by virtue of being new, interesting, practical and appealingly well priced. We've come to expect nothing less from Suzuki, and we'll cover those many facets in detail. Suffice to say for now that this isn't just another city car but a sign of newfound ambition and imagination from Japan's maverick supermoney and 4x4 specialist. And yet, it has also had a UK market launch marked by controversy. The Celerio provided a welcome reminder of the need for independent and thorough testing when, 6 weeks ago during our own performance benchmarking session, it failed a routine emergency braking test. 2 test cars suffered the same brake linkage failure on the same day, leading to a collapsed pedal, when required to execute a maximum pressure, ABS-assisted stop from 70 miles per hour. It's a clear example of a safety-critical mechanical defect being flushed out by what we still believe to be the most thorough assessment of a new car carried out by any car magazine anywhere in the world, and, mercifully, before it was allowed to endanger lives on UK roads. Which, in a rarely necessary but important sense, is what we're here for. Acting with laudable speed, Suzuki subsequently investigated the problem, recommissioned the part at fault, retrofitted it to cars in UK dealer stock and delivered a third Celerio to Autocar HQ that would, Suzuki assured us, handle any abuse that we could throw at it. It's the final, right-hand drive, Autocar specification Celerio with the updated brake linkage about which you are now reading. So, putting its smartly resolved teething problem to one side, what kind of renewed threat can Suzuki present to the increasingly talented elite in the city car class? There are just 3 trim levels, SZ2, SZ3 and SZ4, and 1 petrol engine, slim pickings when you consider the broader lineups of its rivals. But the top specification Celerio, tested here, is cheaper than most rivals' entry-level options. A good place to start, then. The Celerio's key selling points are its greater-than-average size and the added usability that it brings. Suzuki has positioned the car at the larger end of the microcar class, making it longer and taller than almost every direct competitor. And although it is only averagely wide, the Celerio also provides an extra seatbelt, which makes it a rare 5-seater in a segment where space for 4 is the norm. That's the theory, at any rate. The reality will be assessed by our tape measure in due course. The car is built from a new high-strength steel platform designed above all else for packaging efficiency. Its suspension has likewise been configured to free up space in the car, with a class-typical McPherson strut-type suspension figuring up front but a new torsion beam arrangement at the rear with what Suzuki calls flattened ends that make for greater underbody strength as well as a lower boot floor. The Celerio's styling is intended to imbue it with a more distinguishing air of quality than is evident in some of Suzuki's other recent offerings. The conjoined chrome grille and headlights and deeper sculpted styling features, which cross several panels in some cases, combine to make this a fairly attractive car but not an outstanding one. Above all else, the Celerio lacks a bit of distinguishing visual charm of the sort that the Toyota Go and Renault Twingo trade on, and it's a conspicuous absence. There are only 3 trim grades, entry-level SZ2, SZ3 and the more generously equipped SZ4, as tested, and 1 engine option, Suzuki's K10B 1.0-liter 3-cylinder petrol engine, driving through a 5-speed manual gearbox or a 5-speed automated box. Suzuki also introduced a dual-jet version of the same engine producing the same bhp and a tad more torque in the pursuit of greater efficiency. It sees the 1.0-liter unit equipped with 2 injectors per cylinder, a higher compression ratio, cooled exhaust gas recirculation and start-stop technology. Made slightly lighter and lower on friction than the version in the Alto and Splash, the motor produces 67 bhp and 66 pounds-foot and emits 99 grams/km of CO2, competitive stats, but no great shakes. while the dual-jet version produces 67 bhp and 68 pounds-foot and emits a mere 84 grams/km of CO2. It stops just fine. That's the most important thing to know about the Celerio's performance, but you wouldn't have expected it any other way after it received the remedial work that it was due. Taking a touch over 3 seconds to come to a standstill from 60 miles per hour is above average, as is wanting 52.6 meters to come to a halt from 70 miles per hour, but in brake pedal feel and outright retardation, we've really no qualms about the way the Celerio stops. In fact, it stops rather more quickly than it goes, although, given the market it's in, this shouldn't be taken as a criticism. Although the 67 bhp 1.0-liter triple that powers the Celerio is incapable of punting it to 60 miles per hour any faster than 12.9 seconds or, more relevantly, from 30 to 70 miles per hour in anything less than 14.3 seconds, 31.6 seconds in fourth gear, it is a willing and relatively responsive companion. It's quiet and smooth and revs extremely cleanly to its 6,000 revolutions per minute rev limiter. That it will still pull 60 miles per hour in second gear, despite this relatively low rev limit, means that it has sensible gearing for longer journeys. It spins at a shade over 3,000 revolutions per minute at 70 miles per hour in fifth gear and, being a triple, sounds lazier than a 4-pot would at the same revs, so it's actually a respectable motorway companion. It even resists the need to be dropped into fourth on long motorway inclines. The Celerio is also remarkably thrifty at the fuel pumps. Overall, the true MPG testers registered 53.5 miles per gallon, which is a very decent result indeed. Even if you thrash the living daylights out of it, like you would only if it were a higher car, it's unlikely ever to drop below 40 miles per gallon.